Donald Trump is not immune from the consequences of losing the hush money case and being found guilty and getting a felony conviction in said case. Now, Judge Juan Merchan has upheld Donald Trump's felony conviction in the hush money case. And the reason why he even had to make this ruling in the first place is due to the Supreme Court's decision, which recently granted presidents broad immunity for official actions. That ruling came after Trump was convicted. Now, prosecutors had argued that the Supreme Court's decision had no bearing on this prosecution, noting that Trump was convicted of orchestrating a scheme involving a personal and political crisis that predated his presidency. Right, so the hush money case and the hush money payments were doled out prior to him even being elected as president. So that's the argument here. And so this is relevant because the prosecution used testimony from former White House employees. Merchan said of those testimonies that it was logical and reasonable to conclude that if the act of falsifying records to cover up the payments so that the public would not be made aware is decidedly an unofficial act, so too should the communications to further that same cover up be unofficial. Even if the evidence was admitted in error, such error was harmless, Merchan added, noting the overwhelming evidence of guilt introduced at trial. So what does this mean and what comes next? Well, if Merchan moves forward with sentencing, Trump's lawyers have promised that they will go to federal court and attempt to block it. And that could push back the sentencing until Donald Trump is inaugurated.
Yeah, look, I like what he did here. I think his ruling is correct. And I like that he didn't back down just because Donald Trump won, because that makes a mockery of the law. He either did it or he didn't do it. It doesn't matter whether he won or lost the election. And by the way, the reverse would have been true as well. If he lost the election, that doesn't make him more guilty. No, absolutely not, right? So that should have no bearing. Is he right on the law? Definitely. There was the part that involved official acts were minuscule here. They were clearly non-official acts. And this is gonna get appealed, so it's not like Trump is gonna go to prison or anything like that. And maybe they lose on it, maybe Merchan gets overturned on appeal. But what he's doing is, this is the second reason why it's really good. He's putting this to a test for the appeals courts and for the Supreme Court. So do you really mean that someone could do hush money payments before they get elected, break campaign finance laws to get elected, and then after they get elected go, well, it's an official act because afterwards I talked to someone about my illegal actions before I got elected, right? Because if you mean that, then politicians are above the law while they're in office, before they're in office. Politicians are just totally above the law. And what I'm worried about with the Supreme Court is, remember, they're deeply corrupt. It's less of a Republican or a Democrat thing than them saying politicians can be as corrupt as they like. They've ruled that in every case, Democratic and Republican politicians. They say they could take bribes after the bill passes and they'll just call it a gratuity. Right. They could take legalized bribes and campaign contributions, right. Unlimited bribes. So the Supreme Court loves corruption. So I'm worried that if this goes to them, that they'll be like, oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, and now the politicians are also immune before they get in office, during their time in office, and after they get into office. As long as you're a politician, we'll let you get away with anything.
Yeah, and I think it's important to highlight again what you just said in regard to the nonpartisan nature of this, because if you're under the assumption that this only benefits Donald Trump, you'd be mistaken. I mean, the presidential immunity would protect presidents, whether they're Democrat or Republican in the future. And so this is a terrible precedent to set, but the precedent has been set. And so we'll see how this case plays out, because Trump's legal team, of course, isn't just gonna drop this and go along with future sentencing. They're gonna wanna fight it and prevent sentencing from happening. And by the way, I highly doubt that even if things go against Donald Trump in regard to the appeals, I don't think he's gonna get sentenced to prison over this.
No.
But we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, at some point, some judge is gonna find some excuse to make sure he doesn't go to prison, right? But I care about the precedent that's set way more than any of that, right? And so, and look, guys, again, to the point of the right wingers, just because it happened to Trump doesn't mean you should, make your decisions based on that. What were you most afraid of if you're a right winger? Tyrannical government, right? Well, if the president is above the law, it is much more likely that you will have tyrannical government. And if you think, oh, I trust Donald Trump, he's an angel, he wouldn't do anything wrong. Okay, I think you're a little bit naive to say the least. Okay, but all right, get past Trump because, okay, let's say you're smitten with him and you think there's no way he's gonna do anything wrong. What happens when the Democrat wins next time?
What
you
if,
think that they're core evil, right? You think they're not gonna use the special immunity?
What if Biden was conversing with Hunter and Hunter was still serving on the board of Burisma and
official
was
government duty.
Official government duties.
Yeah, and look, by the way, that's no joke and that's no exaggeration because Biden can say, my discussion of Ukraine is an official duty, 100%,
Yeah.
100%. Then what the Supreme Court ruled in its infinite idiocy is that you're not even allowed to ask, yes, but what did you say to Hunter when you talked about Ukraine? No, official duty, you're not allowed to ask. But what if he said, hey, Hunter, take $5 million a year from these guys and I'll do them favors as vice president or as president, right? Nope, you're not allowed to know. They have special immunity, okay? The special immunity not only makes them above the law, but it also protects their secrets. So what if Biden said, hey, you know what? The Saudis, give me $100 million and I'll give you whatever you want, right? You're not allowed to know because of special immunity. This is exactly what leads to tyrannical government. Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.